welcome everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're doing okay out there. We got a banger, hopefully today. We're going to do our best to get some good content going. I'm going to selfishly ask all the technical questions I want because that's what I like to do when people come in and they can talk and say smart stuff and all that stuff. Yeah, I welcome all the dons, all the players, everyone. Again, funny enough, I do not play games. I really, generally speaking, I'm not that interested in them. However, I do love the tech, and I do like things that are good for PulseChain. And GameFi is definitely an area I haven't explored much. So when I heard about PulseMafia and just some of the tech and stuff they're doing that we're going to get into in a bit, I was like, okay, this is something I think is worth having a conversation, doing a deep dive on. It's going to get pretty technical from what I hear in the green room. Jacob has agreed to go through it with me and do all that stuff. So that's awesome. Didn't quite know what scale we'd get to go at, but we're going to make this a hot hour, 5 minutes or so, and talk about a lot of different aspects of the game, do a quick intro, and then get into like the beginning to end type of stuff as far as the platform and all that goes. Put your questions in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can. Probably not too many today because it's a shorter stream. However, I think it'll be a great one. So without further ado, I get to chat in just a moment. Welcome to the show for the first time, Jacob. How's it going?
Thank you very much, Max. I'm very pleased to be here. Looking forward to tell your viewers about what we're doing over at PulseMafia.
Yeah, man, this is something too. I wanted to, for people who don't know you, this is the first time I bet you, first time you've been on stream. You're one of the builders I've saw around PulseChain for a long time. I know you got a few different products already under your belt as far as building and stuff. So it's just good to meet you and glad to have a conversation. And for people who aren't aware, you want to give people just a brief background of stuff you've worked on before, and then we'll get into a little bit of the PulseMafia.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jacob. I'm a family father. I live in Denmark, and I've been a professional software developer for probably around 15 years. I've had my own company, a web development company in Denmark with hundreds of clients. And back in 2017, roughly, I decided to move my team into crypto. I should probably mention that privately, I was in crypto since basically the beginning. I actually used the Bitcoin faucet where you get 5 Bitcoin for free just for clicking a button, right? That's where I started, is the Bitcoin faucet website. So
Right.
I've been through it all, but as a developer, I only started really in 17, and then obviously we had the entire Richard Hart, Hex, and all of that around the 19 and 20. And I kind of found him, I think, through YouTube clips, and basically just stuck around ever since, like many of you, right? We kind of fell in love with Richard and his personality, and in for good or bad, right? And I think I was just a completely average person in that as well, but I decided to put my development team and powers and capital behind PulseChain when he announced it, and I knew immediately that I would be someone who is going to build for that chain, because obviously building a layer 1 needs builders, right? So we can't just, I would love to tell you, but unfortunately we cannot just have 4 RH tickers on PulseChain. That won't be enough. We need actual community dApps and third-party dApps, right? So here I am. I'm building on PulseChain, and I've been doing that ever since basically the announcement of it, right? Because we could actually start preparing building stuff for Solidity, which we knew would be the PulseChain base code. So I think at this point in time, it's been like 3 years or something, and we have built, I think, many projects by now. We have built some casino projects. We have built some sports betting projects. We've built some stablecoin suggestions. We have built some meme coins. I think we have been, let's just put it that way, around the world. And during that process, I think I have learned an incredible amount of experience in the crypto world, both from tokenomics point of view, from community point of view, from all of the aspects that goes into creating a successful product. And that really brought me to where we are now.
Yeah, it's I've definitely seen. I know you had PulsePot. Was there a couple other you probably briefly touched on too, but it seems like a lot of the projects you've done is around like different ways of either gambling, like rolling the dice, different kind of algorithms to do different kinds of activities. They've got gamification on chains and stuff. Is that kind of like, I guess, what do you like to build? Is that the kind of stuff you like to build?
No, well, not necessarily, but what I like to build is stuff that doesn't exist. Let me put it that way. Because I think that onboarding people to PulseChain needs to happen through offering something that you cannot get anywhere else. I personally don't believe that we are going to onboard anyone because of a DEX and not even a meme coin or not even a liquidity protocol fork, right? I don't really think we're going to onboard anything significant based on forks of stuff because all of the excitement would already have taken place. So my plan to onboard people to a PulseChain is actually building something unique. And I did that every single time with PulsePod. It's a 100% unique, never done before project. So is Pulse Predict. So was TYRH, which was the first DeFi playground PvP that I built. But there's probably some truths in the fact that I like to build something that has some sort of RNG element or some sort of direct player versus player element. That is kind of true. But the overall direction of what I do, my requirement is that it doesn't exist already. I only build new innovative stuff.
I like that. Yeah, I think the forks, that's to me, that's having a fork of having everything on Ethereum. It kind of like goes together with the whole theme of like, oh, we're a fork of Ethereum. We have all the tokens, the P copies, all that stuff too. And now, you can leave Ethereum because we have all the DeFi products, we have forks and all that. But also getting people not only comfortable with coming to the chain, but give them a reason. Give them, I like how Alex Hormozi talks about make them an offer so good they'd be stupid to turn it down. Like they can't say no if they see new, exciting, profitable, whether you like the tech, the price performance, both of them on PulseChain. So definitely like the new aspect of it on that. The gamification.
Yes, very true. And what I think that we also saw was that in 2017 we had the crypto kitties on Ethereum, which was kind of the first mover on GameFi, and it was so popular that the chain basically came to a halt. Right? It was bottlenecked so bad that we had queued up transaction, that we had gas prices that was just incredibly high, and it obviously made any game action too expensive, right? So then fast forward to the next bull run around 1920, I think we saw that the Axie Infinity became very trendy, and that was kind of the next level of GameFi, where we now had these animals and the eggs, and you could train them and you could like sell them on a marketplace and this kind of thing. It went from 14 cents to $190, and it was a $1 billion market cap project, and probably still is today, right? And what I kind of realized was that games appeals to all sorts of people. It's something that when we looked into the numbers, we realized that in legacy markets, gaming is a bigger capital market than movies and music combined. Right? Means that the only way that can happen is if there's a lot of humans behind it, right? So obviously we have gaming as a massive industry, and I think it appeals to young, it appeals to old, and it appeals to everyone in between, right? So the reason why these projects can suddenly become so big is because it's something that everyone can relate to, and it's something that everyone probably understands, right? And then here comes the kicker, which is, if we can provide an interesting GameFi experience that you cannot get anywhere else, and we can provide that during the bull run, so that even though we're in the midst of a bull run and everyone is playing and everyone is euphoric, we can still do daily transaction and we can still do daily actions, and we are not getting ruined or robbed by the gas fee, simply because in the ethos of RH, right, the entire reason why we have PulseChain is because we wanted a lower gas fee on our SLO transaction for end staking, right? And I think if we don't build something that utilizes those unique selling point that Richard provided us, then I'm not entirely sure what we're doing, right? We have to build something that visualizes that advantage to user when it matters. And that is what this game is going to do at a bigger rate and a bigger scale than anyone has ever done on PulseChain.
I definitely like the building aspect, and it's you don't have to like games. You don't have to like gambling or leverage or any other thing that that has different pros and cons, or people feel this or that way about. The things that onboard people to PulseChain, as you pointed out, are things that get people excited, that give people a reason to come here, as I was talking about, and new stuff. I mean, that's again the tech and the price performance. If you can get those two things together, and we can have enough products in PulseChain to do that type of stuff, I mean, man, like the winning, it seems like a winning recipe to me. As far as
we fully agree. We fully agree.
As far as GameFi goes too, why is and I'll bring up your screen as well on here. Could you just introduce PulseMafia, and as far as GameFi goes, why is it? How is it different? Is it sort of, are there other types of games and stuff in GameFi that are sort of just front ends for centralized stuff and don't really do a lot of blockchain stuff? What does the landscape look like for GameFi, and where does PulseMafia fit in?
Well, I think there are different levels of GameFi. You have the big game studios that are literally putting an entire AAA game on chain, right? But they can't really do that on any Solidity fork, I would say. They probably have to use some sort of high transaction per second and scalable centralized chain to actually do it, like the Ronin network or the Ton network or whatever. Because right now, imagine playing FIFA or playing Assassin's Creed or whatever. There would simply be way too many things that would constantly need to be recorded on chain, and it would be a massive headache for everyone involved. But with that said, you can still have a game that lands in the middle. You don't need one that is that high activity and that high visually requiring. Mafia is actually what I call a text-based MMORPG, which is basically a website with a lot of text and beautiful images, and then you're just doing all sorts of transactions. This is not a game like GTA where you're driving down the road in a car and you jump out and hit someone. That's not how the scenery is going to work in this game. This game is based around a website. It's a website game. We will have interactive elements, and we will have video clips, and we will have all sorts of beautiful stuff, but do not expect this game to be GTA. The blockchain technology in general is not ready to handle a real game, because a real game can have millions of transactions a second. Like, imagine how many actions goes into GTA multiplayer every single second. It's like unbelievable, right? So obviously, I don't think the tech is ready, basically. But what we have right now is beautiful, because you can build a game on a blockchain, and what that does for you is removes all of your responsibility in some way. Imagine I built this game without the blockchain. Now I would be holding everyone's capital value and all of their assets, all of the items. If I screwed up and deleted a server, or fire, or thief or whatever, then that could actually have an impact on significance in the game. But
you don't like deleting money. That's true.
Yeah, well, because the game, all of the important aspects of the game, let us put it that way, is actually put on chain. Now I remove that responsibility from me. I'm not the one who secures people's money, right? And that's actually a fantastic freedom to have as a developer, where you can just hook up on this capital network where the security is already handled, the users are already there, all of that. It's really a beautiful way of building, and I'm actually just adding a visual layer on top of that network. And I think that this GameFi is absolutely the future, without any doubt, because it allows users to have a trust in the fact that their actions, their ranking, their capital is not just something a intern or someone at the game studio can just take away with the click of a button. It gives you some security, and it gives you a frame that you can kind of operate under, right?
Have you saw the movie Free Guy?
No, I don't watch movies.
Okay, well, that's props to you for that. But Free Guy it reminded me when you said that, people having control over the game, the corporation, where basically they figure out a way to like bypass all this stuff in the game. It's actually a pretty good movie. And then the players the corporation's trying to change it and take it over and do all these things, but the players are like fighting back, and it's kind of like, it has like a decentralized nature to it, where it's like, no, we're going to overcome because it's the players type of thing, which I think is what GameFi and stuff, that is its potential, right? Its ability to, decentralization in general, ability to give power, back to, the people playing and participating instead of like somebody making all the decisions.
Yes, but also the capital, right? Because imagine these massive game studios like Microsoft, they are buying them all up. We have the AAA studios, EA, we have, the Blizzards, and we have all of those big game studios. There's something interesting to me is that why is there no money prize in any of these games, right? It's probably because that the games, basically the fun entertainment that the games supplies you is enough. So people are just playing for the fun aspect, the social aspect, and maybe even some sort of online persona hierarchy. What do I know? Some social persona online, right? But there's no immediate cash prize in like 99.9% of games, right? You are actually only spending money on microtransactions to propel yourself or whatever in a mobile game, right? But what we have done here is completely different. And the reason why there is no cash prizes in regular games is simply because a AAA game studio, they have thousands of employees, they have marketing budgets, they have expenses, all sorts of stuff, right? So if they just decided to say, hey, 50% of our revenue in this game, we're going to put back into some sort of leaderboard, and then they get, receive on their bank wire or whatever, right? That would just seem, impossible, which it is because they do not have a margin of 50%. So what we came up with was actually something I think is going to be fundamental going forward in GameFi, is that we have actually come up with a passive payment mechanism that will allow users to get a weekly pay direct to the wallet in the native token of the chain. So not our own token, not any bullshit inflation, paid out weekly, automated by a contract, immutable to the best players of the game, right? So what does that do? So basically, instead of taking all of the profit from the game to ourselves, like EA does or Blizzard does, we take a very small percentage of the profit for ourselves so we can maintain the servers and the development and all of that. But then we push the majority of it, we push into what we call the vault. The vault is kind of in the game's bank account, right? And I can just click here real quick. So this is the vault, and this is the tax man. And this guy here, he receives all of the token tax from trading on the DEX. And when he receives that, anyone can go here and click the convert now button. It's a public function. And he will basically go to the DEX and offload this 181k Mafia. He will sell it for PLS and deposit that PLS into the vault. This is the vault over here. This is basically what people are playing for, right? They are positioning themselves in the game to have a better chance of accessing this vault. Currently, there's 3 billion PLS in the vault, which is roughly $130,000. This vault started at 0 PLS exactly 21 days ago. So, through activity inside of the game, we are able to collect fees both from the marketplace, both from speculative trading, both from the crate openings, from all sorts of revenue streams. We are basically collecting a fee from activity, and then we are pushing all of that capital straight into the vault. And this becomes this snowball rolling down the hill where it only grows larger and larger and larger. And this becomes the carrot hanging in front of the head of all players, where if they play well enough, they can acquire themselves a passive weekly payout of X amount of PLS, right? So what I truly believe we have done here is come up with a new game model where we can share some of that profit the game generates, and we can push that back to the players, and then creating this endless loop of incentives for the players, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too. Like the aligning of incentives in this game is really interesting. Can you kind of talk about that? The vault, the families, how to join income? We'll spend a few minutes on that before we get into technical stuff, because I just want to make sure people really get the mechanics around this.
So as you can see here, we have the families. Currently, the syndicate is the largest family with a 322k worth, and they have 81 members based in Chicago, and they are on the top spot. This means that they get 30% of the weekly vault payout. The family in the second position is the Giffords. They have 25% of the weekly vault payout, right? And
The
as
Giffords, I like it.
and as you go down the leaderboard, the lower you go, the lower your payout becomes, right? And at some point you're so low that you won't get any payout. So the way it works is that every week 10% of this here is actually paid out. So let's say the game was live now, then $13,000 would be paid out to all of these families in combination on week 1. Let's go to the syndicate here. You can see that actually their Don is currently receiving 24.8 million PLS a week just for being who he is, right? He does not need to do anything at all. He doesn't need to spend a single cent from here on out. He will receive this when the game goes live. And anyone in the position, you can see Knuckles here gets 9 million, 11.5. But if we go down to the members, you can see because this family decided to share 50% of their payout, actually the entire vault payout only goes to the top positions in the family. So the Don, the Consigliere, and the the Consigliere over here, and then the Capodicina. But if the top decides to share their payout, they can do so with the family. And in this case, they've decided to forward 50% of the vault payout to the regular members. So you'll see down here that this guy here gets 5 million, 5, 4, 2, 2, 9, 1, 24, 1, and then so on. And as lower you go, the lower the payout becomes. And this here, all families that are in the top 8, they are actually getting a weekly payout from the vault just for basically for their position in the game. You can see here they are also receiving all this PLS. So
just a question on that too. When you say position of the game and all that, I don't want to get into. I know we've had a lot of the streams cover like the different actions and stuff, and when we get into signing up and how to use it, I'm sure we'll get into some of that stuff too. But just how much? The question I'm wondering, people are wondering probably too, is like how much time, how much effort, how much participation does it take to be a top family to get into the vault and to do all these things?
Yeah, so I think if you're starting today, you're obviously quite behind, right? Because you can see the syndicate already acquired 81 members. They have staked quite a lot of Mafia in the family bank. They almost have 1 million bullets by now. So yes, you will be behind if you start today. But we have made it able so that people can actually go into allegiances with other families and then get paid through that. You can see here allegiance. It's coming soon. It's an update we're pushing within 48 hours. And what will happen here is that a small family, let's say a new family, they can request to go into an allegiance with the syndicate here. And if the syndicate accepts that, then that family will receive some of their vault payout. You can see this family here gets 90 million PLS a week. And based on how they decide to distribute that, they can use it to, let's say, literally hire a hitman family for them by just forwarding some of their payout to a small family that is in. Imagine that this family, the Chinese triads here, they said, listen, we are way, there's too far up for us to ever dream about a fixed payout. But what if we went into an allegiance with the syndicate and you enabled vault forwarding to us? Then this family down here will certainly receive a PLS payment, but in exchange for that, I would expect the syndicate Don to have some sort of task for them, such as attack on my command or whatever, right? So we have built this out in a way where no matter where you are in this, an old or new or whatever size, there will be a possibility for you to make yourself interesting to anyone in the game, basically, and be competitive, which is very
really,
important.
I think what you made me think of too is kind of like you said, there's already a lot of families got a head start. It's kind of like you have these alliances and things to get up to speed quicker if you join or new families or otherwise. It's kind of like, like the types of things that happen on PulseChain in general. Like there's a protocol it's got a lot of whales. It's harder for other people to get yield, for example. And then they make another protocol that sort of like, further democratizes it back. It's almost like this is happening within the game where it's like, okay, even this early in the game, you sort of, if you're going to be a new family, it sounds like you need to like make alliances or otherwise to come up instead of just, it really mimics the real, it feels like, at least I have no experience in this, but it feels like it mimics the real world a lot too. In so many different verticals. So I want to talk about the different, like, kill a wallet in the game based on, other, in other relationships and stuff too. I don't want to get into that. It sounds, that part's interesting as well. I feel like I've already watched a couple streams on this too, and I'm sure other people in the chat have as well. But anyways, it's like getting to this, I guess the point is within the game, there's these building. It's like building, you can build in the game without, code, without adding features, without actually having to touch it. Just by playing, it feels like you're already building in the game. I think that was pretty notable.
Yeah. And actually, let's try just to create a profile here and show the viewers how that would work, right? So
Yes.
if you land here on the page, you can connect your wallet and it will say create a profile. If you don't already have a wallet, if you already have one, it will not be possible to ever create another one. So that's kind of the hardcore PvP element of Mafia, is that one wallet, one life, and you will never play again. That's how it is. So one wallet, one life. And nobody will ever use that name again, right? So let's create one here. I will say RHMax. Where are you from? Think you are from Brunei.
Yeah, I was gonna say Brazil. You got the right spot. Brunei sounds fun.
And it costs 2,000 Mafia, which you can see is like $3.6 right now. And we will click, and I will approve a transaction for spending the 2,000 Mafia. And then it will pop up one more time, and then it will ask for actually paying the 2,000. So we approve first, and then do the actual transaction. And then at last, we have to do a signature approval as well, and that is basically to generate your custom avatar. Okay. Let's go here. See if this works. I hope so.
And what is happening? Can you explain to on the blockchain what is happening with this creation?
Yes, so basically you're just making a signature saying that I want to reserve this name and this country and this gender in a combination on our on the blockchain. So what we have actually done is that we have split this game into two. You have what needs to go on chain, and what can just be regular enrichment data, right? And I think we have an issue here. Sorry, what is going on? I'll check in there.
I'm from Aurora.
Oh, okay. I think we have an issue right now. I'll just, never mind. So what I was saying is that basically when you build a game like this, it doesn't really make sense to put everything on chain. And basically what you want to do is decide what is important data and what is just regular enrichment, right? So, for instance, important data could be your items, your capital value, your name, your families, all of these things that are quite important. But what if we allowed users to have a custom description box that says, hey, here am I'm cool, you're not so cool as I am, and blah, 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 right? Do we really need to put that on the chain? Or can we just have the owner of the wallet sign a signature that they want to have this on the chain, and then we literally just store it in our enrichment database, and then we pull it to that specific point, right? So every functionality goes through this process of, do we need it on chain or do we not? And then we basically try to optimize the game through doing that decision process.
So how does that affect? So what pieces are on a server somewhere in a database, and what pieces are on chain?
So let's say if we go here and have a look at Nuncio here. So for instance, this image here is not on chain. This image here, only the reference to this image is on chain, but my server is hosting this image, right? All of the items is on chain. So everything that has capital value associated with it is on chain. So
So
all of these items here will be on chain.
so that's a special sauce, right? I guess in this too is the you moved the money part on chain. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you can say, but basically, just my how I'm cutting the cake is basically that if it's something that is important, I want it on chain. If it's something that, obviously a description box can be important, but I think people would prioritize their money over a description, right? So
Right.
so we're doing this selection where should we put something in a database or should we put something in on chain? And a thing that is very normal to put in the enrichment part is history information. So imagine that, for instance, I go to the market, right? All of this you see here in the history, if I had to pull this from the chain through the RPC call every time a user clicks on this history button, which by the way happens 100 times a minute, then I would probably get rate limit and ban from every single premium subscription you could even buy, right? So basically what's happening is that you need to figure out what stuff do you request from on-chain at the page load moment, and what can you actually just store yourself in a database and then just request from the database, because then you're not utilizing a RPC or stressing some sort of rate limited scenario, right? And for instance,
Hmm.
this game, if I build this game solely on the public RPC of PulseChain, we could have 3 users and that's it, and then it would basically die. So simply not possible. We would get rate limited immediately. We have so much traffic here and so many users here doing, thousands of actions and clicks every day that it's just impossible to handle this with only a RPC, I think.
But
You
is
can see
that
here.
I just want to highlight the difference too in this one versus all the GameFi stuff. So that is everything of value. That's kind of the decision. Everything of value, everything that could be, whether it's pictures, whether it's metadata, descriptions, otherwise, can be placed on a server on the internet, can go down. Doesn't affect the value piece of people playing the game. They still have their tokens. They still have access to call the contracts and generate stuff. Maybe you want to get into that a little bit too, like the vault. People have been asking about the vault, and maybe we can some technical aspects on that.
Yeah, well, the vault right now is actually just a admin wallet. And that's very important, because imagine if we built the vault immutable already now during a launch phase. That would mean that we had to predict, how we wanted to utilize it when we are launching, and that would be extremely dangerous to do. So what we have done is that we just have complete control over the vault until the game goes live. So during this launch phase, I have complete admin control over every single dollar in the vault.
So what
And
happens when live? Like, what is the plan to convert that?
well, that's quite simple. We finalize the vault contract, and then we deploy it on chain, and then we just deposit all of the PLS from this current vault into the real vault.
Gotcha. And then that is then the blockchain will decide, like, is a family able to get access to the vault based on their characteristics? How is it going to work at that point?
Yeah, at that point, it's going to work this way where you can see this leaderboard here of families. All of this is on chain. So the vault contract will be a public call to distribute it every 7 days, and then anyone in the game can go and click. Basically, when you have a 7-day time step that is counting down, and when it reaches 0, it just means that someone can call a public function inside of the vault contract. When that public function is called, then the vault literally just asks the leaderboard contract, please tell me who is number 1 through 8, right? And when that contract then sends that information back, then basically the vault just does what it's supposed to do based on the information it garnered in that moment it requested it. So it will become actually a vault that is controlled by public calls. And it's just forever. It's an immutable contract that will just receive funds from all sorts of revenue streams. And then the public call every week on the countdown will be able to distribute the funds inside of it.
So the
So
contract,
so nobody can touch it except the public calls.
so the contract itself will hold the PLS and people be able to get their payouts and stuff by doing a public call.
Yes, and anyone can call it. So it doesn't even need to be someone who is a recipient from the PLS vault, right? Just anyone who is willing to pay the transaction fee to actually initiate that calculation, basically.
When it does the calculation, then will that just say, if you're a family, will it be like, hey, I've got yeah, maybe walk through that process because I feel like I'm missing that too.
Yeah.
How
Okay.
does families get access to the payouts, and how will they when everything goes live, and how do they get the payouts or access to the vault?
So again, on the leaderboard we have, so every week it pays out 10%, right? So in this case, let's say it was live tomorrow, that would be 300 million PLS every week, right? So if we go here, we can see that we have the orange ones. These are conditional payouts. This means that the top 5, they get a fixed payout no matter what, but the conditional payout position will only receive a payout if the week over week is a positive. So imagine that we have $100,000 and we make a 10% vault payout. Now we have 90, right? Then we wait 7 days more, and if we have increased to 100K or more again, then the condition is positive because the vault is growing even with the payouts. And as long as the vault is growing week over week, these positions are included as a payout. If we are declining week over week, the vault contracts and it only pays out to the top 5. But these will get payments forever as long as you're top 5, no matter how little new money comes into the vault. Because imagine that the vault pays out from 100K to 90K and not a single cent comes in, right? Then the next week it will pay out 10% of 90K, and then there will be 81K left. And if no new activity or no revenue streams is generating any new money, then slowly that money will just go less and less and less every week it pays out, right? But it can never go to zero because it's a 10% payout every time, right?
Mm.
So that is the fundamental idea behind how we handle these payouts. And
So, well,
yeah,
so if you're a member, so does every member get access to the payout, or is it just the top, the Don, the different top people?
yeah. So basically, you can see if we check the Salamanca family here, you can see the Don of that family has set the family share rate to 0%. That means that these 3 people share all of the money themselves. They're not giving anything to the family members. So this guy, Nuncio, he gets a 24 million PLS payout a week. And you can see all of the members here, they get 0, right? But they might argue that, listen, I am the Don. I want the money because I can make a good decision on how to utilize these funds to, improve the family or whatever. But in, for instance, the case of, let's check the gearheads, in their case, they have put the family share to 35, right? So you would see that all of their members are actually getting forwarded. Basically, what it means is just these 3 people just decide to give up 35% of what they were supposed to get, right? They're forwarding their money to the people who are helping them build up the family, right? So that's
And
an automated way, because you could say that these 3 people here could easily just take in their PLS and then they could just manually send to all of these members, right? But then they would have to do that manually every week, and that can be quite an operation if you have 80 members. So by just adding a percentage value to the family share, they can literally just automate everything where the payout is based on your worth value, right? Um, so that's the way
yeah,
that you can incentivize all. Basically, what this does is it incentivizes all users to rank higher and higher in the family, because the higher you are inside the family, the bigger the payout will be in PLS. So it's a good way of incentivizing each user to put in more time and effort and capital so that they can improve their individual rank and therefore their individual payout.
yeah, the different game theory and mechanics around this it's just really incredible. Of like, setting 0% versus 35. If it's 0%, I
Yeah.
guess what is the idea if it is smaller? Because with the when you're sharing, that's motivating people to play and do better and participate in all that stuff. If it's 0, is there just could families just do like an off table, an OTC deal,
Yes,
or just
absolutely.
make it part of a membership of whatever group they're in or something?
they can do all sorts of stuff, and just because the top three receives the money, nobody's to say if they are not sending it OTC around the game, right? It's still just PLS they're getting, and all of the wallets are public. The player profiles, any player profile you go to, you can go to the block scan right here, right? So nothing is hidden in that way, and you can literally just pay your members manually if you wanted to, right? Um, so the big thing right now is that we want to incentivize the smaller families, because obviously when you create a new family like Coach X here, right? He has a long way up, right? He literally needs to 300x his family size to reach the top position. But just to get
He's
into a orange position, which is the 5% conditional payout, he would need to 20x his family value, right?
and he's got to beat.
Um,
He's got to beat the Chinese Triad. He's got to beat the Trump family. He's got to beat
all
the
of these, yeah.
Sopranos. Those are big names as far as
But
the
with
ones I've
the
heard of
elite
on TV before.
with the Allegiance update, he can now get invited by the syndicate to be in what we call a family allegiance. And through that, the syndicate can say, just the same way as the family share, they can put an allegiance share, let's say 10%. So it would literally take 10% of the 90 here, which would be right 9 million, right? And they would forward 9 million to their allegiance partners. And if the syndicate were in an allegiance partnership with the Greys, this family would now have a 9 million weekly payout, and all of their members would share it down if they had a family share as well, right? But in this case, Coach X himself would just take the 9 million home to himself, right? So by having this allegiance feature with a paid forward, basically it allows big and small families to work together towards a common goal, or actually just hire, suicide families or hitmans or whatever.
So how does that work too? When you have does the Dawn or the top members, do they have control, like their profile when they sign in, they have control? Like, okay, I want to make an allegiance. It creates a transaction to update something, or is that kept on is that the value side kept on the blockchain, or is that the other side kept on the database?
Everything around families are kept on the blockchain. So basically, when you are a top three position in any family or the Dawn, you have right here underneath, you have a full admin menu. You have edit family, you have invite members, you have stake to the family, you have kick people from family, all sorts of stuff. But in the edit family option, you have like this big pop up, and there you can literally edit anything. You can edit the family logo, you can edit the background branding, you can set the leaf fee, you can set the family share, you can manage all sorts of stuff, and also the allegiance settings, right? So you can manage who are the cabos, you can manage the hierarchy, you can manage the successor, you can actually set the promotion money as well. So there's this entire edit functionality on top of this family page here that you cannot see, because it's only these three people who can access the edit family features. Yeah.
And if you could completely, let's say that top families here, go on, do stuff, and then anyone else could join the Mafia game anytime, and then all they'd have to do is say invite member, type in their, what would they have to type in their
Username.
username,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it would just, so how does the invite work when you type it in? How does that member know? It just shows up in their profile, hey, you got an invite waiting, that kind of thing.
Yeah, let me just quickly go to our game wiki, and I think that I can show you a little bit better through the joining a family. Yeah,
You have
so you see here.
documentation?
Oh, we have, I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm joking. I'm saying in
Yeah,
general,
okay.
like a lot of stuff is launched without it, and I saw your wiki before. I'm like, that was pretty cool too.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think when we have something like this where there's a lot of money in it and there's so many balancing mechanisms, I think we kind of owe it to the community to have proper documentation. And even now, this documentation is missing like 50% of the relevant stuff, and it's yet so big, right? So this will become a massive piece of documentation, but it goes to fit with the relevant size of the game, because this game is truly absolutely stunningly big, and it will probably consist of more than 50 contracts on chain and 4 or 5 different tokens and multiple NFTs and all sorts of crazy stuff. But just to go back to the invite to a family, basically you cannot just join a family. someone, a high ranked person inside a family, needs to send you an invite, and then you get a notification on the site, and then you can just literally click accept or decline. If you accept, then you're now in that family, and to get out of it again, you either need to get kicked from the top, you need to pay the leave fee, or you need to die, right? So that's kind of the ways of exiting a family. But
Interesting. Okay.
maybe just to touch on these launch phases here, I think is what's kind of people they like to look at is that right now the game is not live. It might be a little bit hard to understand how can we have like all of these features and
That
functionality and the game is not even live, right?
that's a big question I want to get into is what can people, I know, and why you go through this, I just want to put this, kind of frame it to what can people do today? Why are people so excited about this today? Is it literally just like gaining, well, I mean, of course you get rewarded in Pulse and stuff, the weekly payouts and all that, but like take us up to what you're able to do today, go through the launch phases, and
Yeah.
then, what are people going to be able to do?
Yeah. So because this game is so extremely big and so extremely complicated, I feel like we have a responsibility to educate the users before we go live. Because ultimately, this is a game of money. It's a game of social relationships. It's a game of betrayal. It's a game of theft. It's a game of all sorts of things, right? And I think we have a responsibility to help people understand what they're doing, because I've been in this game for a long time now, and I am on a daily basis. I am literally shocked at how little some people know about crypto, and yet they literally place their entire retirement fund inside of it, right? And they have not 2 minutes of crypto experience. Um, so what we wanted to do to combat that is really to, instead of just coming out and say, "Bam, let's go, let's play," right? We wanted to try and cut it in. Imagine a cake, and you cut it into 12 pieces, and then you serve one piece at a time. That gives you the ability to appreciate each piece. It gives you the ability to taste on it, think about it, make your conclusion, reflect on it, and even figure out how are we going to handle this piece of the cake, right? And then when everyone understands it and uses it, now we can serve the next piece of the cake. And that is what we're doing with these 12 steps. So step number one was simply just minting the tokens, airdropping all of the NFTs, the tokens, and all of these things that were based on the TYRH ecosystem. Maybe I should give a little bit of context to what happened here. Sorry, excuse me. So basically, some of you here might have heard about TYRH. It was a meme coin project that I built some time ago that had the one single idea of burning RH coins, and that should be a meme, right? It was quite effective. We burned multiple millions of dollars of RH coins, but over time, it just seems like nobody really cared about it. So, fact of the matter was, we were stuck with this project that is just burning a massive amount of money, but nobody cares about it. So, obviously, the outlook for the future for that project wasn't that great. So, what I decided was, let's put that project to the grave, then airdrop all of the holders that were participating in that project basically the exact same value distribution, but in an entirely new project, right? So it's like me taking responsibility for building something that wasn't a good idea. And then I move all of those people into something that I think is actually quite a good idea. And that is PulseMafia. So 800 million out of the 1 billion was distributed basically on PLS, just given away to the TRH holders. Then we kept 100 million for the LP wallet, and we kept 100 million for our team wallet. Step number 2 then came around, and this was, now we start creating our profiles. So you could register your name, your gender, your country, and you could pay the 2000 Mafia, and people could kind of start setting, visualize their new character and all of these things, right? Then the big update happened with the step 3 was the family creation. Now all of these players that were just loosely connected through Telegram, now they could actually create and join families, right? And which was a big way of, I think, starting this grouping and this fractionizing kind of the Telegram, because what we have seen now is that all of these families, they have their own Telegram channels, they have their own Discord servers. They are taking this so seriously that it's almost as if they're running a crypto project themselves, right? They have marketing, they have onboarding, they have statistics departments, they have front end, they have like a public channels, they have admin channels. It's almost as if each family becomes its own little crypto project. And I think that the interesting part of that is this protocol is extremely powerful in creating ambassadors for the project, just like Hex was in some ways, right? And every participant in this game, they are incentivized to push it because that helps their own family, right? If you onboard someone into your own family, you're onboarding someone into the protocol itself, but specifically into your family, which benefits you. So we have this direct way of incentivizing users in the game to become ambassadors of the crypto project, and I must say that the effect of that is absolutely stunning, because
Powerful
in
concept.
absolutely stunning because in many of the things I have built, people, they just lean back to the chair and they observe, because what happens is when you have a very dedicated and active developer, the more active I become, the more passive the community becomes, right? The reason why the Hex community was so active was because that the product was finished. Richard was never going to do anything and everyone knew it. That is why that the community was so vibrant, because there was no expectation from Richard. Everyone knew that they had to take, it into their own hands to
You do
basically
the
promote
work.
it. Exactly. And that is so much more powerful than what most probably expect. And in this case with the Mafia, that is extremely powerful, because this becomes a game where you really really want to tell others about it, you really really want to onboard others into it. And even though I am an active developer, I don't see the same leaning back into the chair and just observing what's going to happen next, right? I really see this fantastic synergy where I can fully focus on developing instead of being focused on marketing, right? Spending my time on marketing, honestly, that's a bad way of spending my time. So if the community could take that upon themselves and drive it, it will be so much better and more organic, and it will sustain itself for 10 times as long as any short-term strategic marketing plan that I could make, right? So I just think that Mafia itself kind of um, kind of makes this synergy between developer and community member, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, definitely. And then number 4, you got OG crates. Yeah, people are asking about crates as well,
Yeah.
and the value
So the
there.
the OG crates was the most successful update to date from a capital perspective, at least. Basically, what this was the ability to open a box, and inside of that box there was a random item, right? Um, so I guess I could just quickly show here. So basically, if you have a key, you can click on that key and this box will open and you will get one of all of these things here. You can go from the jackpot, which right now would be this one here. 5 million Mafia, I think, is around $10,000 or something. And 100 game keys is $2,000. 10 OG NFTs is roughly $2,000. So there's significant real liquid value to win by opening these crates, but they also cost 450,000 PLS a piece, right?
Wow.
And the money that are spent opening these boxes is put back into the vault and the team wallet with a 50-50 split. So
Can you talk about the just while we're talking about the keys and the pulse here too? What are the tokens? I mean, we talked about there's Mafia token. Can you explain the tokens? Are they keys? Can you explain the NFTs? Like which and is everything going to be the way it is now? Or are they new stuff coming? Yeah, you get the assets there. Yeah, can you explain that for a moment?
yeah, so we have what I call in-game items, and then we have main assets. Main assets are stuff you can actually pull out of the game. Um, and in-game items will stay in the game forever, but will be of benefit to you inside of the game, right? And you can
Are they
exchange an in-game item to a main asset if you want to exit.
okay? I was gonna say, where's the liquidity for the in-game? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
no problem. You can, I think, through the marketplace, you can probably liquidate any single asset in the game into PLS, basically, straight to your wallet, right? So I'm very aware of having this freedom scenario where I want to make people feel like they're not trapped. I want to make people feel like they can come here, play a game, be smart, lucky, or bold or whatever, make a profit, and then leave the next day. I don't want the outlook to be that you have to spend half of your life in this game to ever turn a profit. No, you can literally play one day and you can double your money. That's how I want the game to be. And you can do that by going to the roulette, or you can kill someone, or you can steal something, or you can get lucky over there, you can get lucky over here. There's all sorts of there's probably 50 different way of you making money in this game, right? Um, and and Mafia token is one of the main assets. Then we have bullets, we have health, and we have keys, and then OG NFTs should actually also be here as a main asset, because that can also be outside of the game. So the Mafia token itself is all of the trading. You have the 4% buy tax and the 16% sell tax. This is what is feeding the vault as well, right? Then we have the bullets. This is what you're shooting. So if you want to kill another wallet, you have to shoot bullets. And when you shoot bullets, you're basically burning them. So imagine that you, Max, wanted to kill me in the game, right? And you would have to spend a lot of in-game items of doing so, because killing someone else is kind of a serious thing. Not only are you excluding them from the game forever, you're also stealing all of their money, right? And let's be real, there are some accounts in this game already. They have probably $50,000 worth of in-game items. And they will be lost if you die. So this is serious stuff. People will take this game extremely seriously, simply because that they have vested so much time and capital into it, right? But bullets itself, this is, I think, extremely interesting. And if I explain this, it will probably give you a good idea on how powerful this game can become.
Okay.
Bullets is a token you need to spend to kill someone else, right? When you kill someone else, you might do it for economic reasons, or you might do it because of a personal grudge, or it might be a family war, strategic, whatever. You spend bullets doing so. But in the game, we have people who own a bullet factory. What that means is that these high-level players who own a bullet factory, they literally own the admin keys to the contract that is printing the inflation of that token. So if it's almost as if you are a player that owns a extremely rare item, like a Charizard card in Pokemon, right? or whatever, a Bob Ruth and baseball card or whatever, right?
First edition Charizard. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. A PSA 10 or
Base
what's it
one,
called.
not base two. Base one. Base one. Shout out to all the Pokemon people out there.
So the user that owns that bullet factory, they can wake up every morning and they will have received tokens in their wallet as inflation, right? And they can go and sell that on the market, or they can sell it in the game, or they can shoot them. They can do whatever they want with them, right? So basically, we have assets in the game that generate a constant inflation or a constant profit based on usage. And there's only 111 of these business assets that has now been distributed between families and users. And the more you control of those, the more capital and items you will control over time, as long as you don't lose them. So basically what they do is that they allow you to get closer to controlling the payouts of the vaults, right? You can see here the bullet factory. This is the most valuable item in the game. You can also own a roulette. So we have, as maybe you know, but we have built I think, the first PvP on-chain roulette in the world, and we are going to include that one-to-one inside of this game. So basically what you can do is that you can go to the roulette and play an on-chain roulette versus the owner who owns the roulette, right? And something that's extremely interesting here is that you can lose this business. If you are the roulette owner in the game and I come to you and I bet $1 million on red and it turns red, if you do not have the cash to pay me, you pay by giving me your roulette business.
Oh
So
wow.
basically, I automatically get it transferred to me if you don't have the liquid cash to cover what I want from you. So I can break the house and win it, right?
Wow. Just we only got a few minutes left here. I just want to I wanted to do rapid because there's a couple questions in the chat too. I want to do rapid fire, but one other thing that I wanted to cover just for a couple minutes. What can people actually? Let's see. You want to hit the marketplace? Can you do like 30 seconds on the marketplace, and we'll ask one more question?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, sorry.
So
I want to make sure we get all these in. I know we got a little
yeah,
pieces
you
here.
can just you just push me along. So basically, the marketplace it enabled all of those crate items that people are opening here. It enabled them to be able to sell directly between players on the market. So you can go here and check. Let's just check the history, show completed only, and let's check the business items. Oh, sorry, we're on the BNB. Let me just quickly jump to the Pulse. I think we have actually had some successful sales. History, show completed only, and let's check the business. Yeah, so you can see here that a hospital was sold by Aztec for a fixed price of $2,000, purchased by Loki. The most expensive one so far was, let's see, we have a 2.2 thousand here, and this is dollars. This is Cold Benjamins. So here we have Mitch. He was lucky enough to open the Bullet Factory, basically the Charizard. He was lucky enough to open that in a crate, and he sold it for $5,000 straight up.
Wow.
You can see all of the values here,
And you
right?
can
But
and people can set it to be paid in Mafia or PLS.
yes, exactly. And you can see there was a guy here who preferred to get PLS. The seller decides what currency they want the payout in. And you can also make a fixed price or an auction type. And if it's an auction type, you need to bet, I think, 5% above the previous bid, and you extend the timer with 60 seconds every time you do so. And we can check here that we have, for instance, let's check the wrapped NFT and the keys. So on the market right now, the Player Plus profile game OG is going for roughly $170. Yeah. But you can see there's some serious activity on this market. And I made a bold statement on Twitter a few days ago that I think that we have the most liquid market on PLS and the market on PulseChain that has generated the most fees in the span of 3 days. 1,100 successful sales, $83,000 in sales volume, and this amount in fees. I think that probably only Pulse Domains even comes close to this. So
that is impressive.
yes, it is quite impressive. And if we are talking about pure yield that is protocol owned, then nobody can touch this. I don't think so. Because what's interesting to me is that imagine you have a liquid loans protocol, right? If you deposit PLS into liquid loans, yes, it's fine. They have a lot of billions in TVL, but that's user owned. So basically just someone who can withdraw it, right? All of this here is protocol owned, and we have not inflated a single token to get 3 billion PLS. You can only do this if you provide significant utility. There is no way else to accumulate 3 billion PLS in 20 days without inflating your token and be user owned without providing serious utility. And I challenge anyone to do what we did with this.
Seriously, that is impressive. I feel like the whole platform, each new feature, the marketplace and stuff too, it could be its own platform on its own, but it's like within the game. That's really cool to see the building there. Just real quick too, can you just give a summary of what people can do in the game today, and then we'll get to rapid fire questions real quick. But just what can people do right now? It looks like open crates.
They can buy the token, they can speculate on the price of Mafia, they can decide to participate, create a profile, they can join a family, create a family, they can open crates, they can buy keys, they can upgrade their profile to Premium Plus, they can access the marketplace, And the next big thing coming will be the Mafia map. This is where we're gonna visualize everything, right? Where we have this gridded out map where basically families can start occupying slots and they can fight over having, attractive spots and all sorts of stuff. I won't reveal too much about this, but this update here is going to be absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to show people.
So this is 6 and then 7. So all the stuff up until official launch. I know everyone's asking when official launch. I've heard 5 billion PLS. Is that a true rumor?
Yeah, so the vault requires 5 billion PLS before we can basically complete the stage. So there's no way of going live unless we have 5 billion PLS. But I'll be honest with you, when I put this down, it was because back of my mind I was thinking, okay, development time, we probably need around 3 to 6 months to roll everything out perfectly. 5 billion PLS in 3 to 6 months, sounds fair, right? And then what happens? We have 3 billion in 21 days, right? So now I'm sitting here and I'm getting stressed out,
Well, I think it's interesting. You set it up to be gamified so much where even the launch is gamified where, okay, you guys want us to launch more? Onboard more people, put more, get more polls, like all that stuff. I think
that's true, right? Because as we wait more and more, this will still just continue to go up no matter what. And then that in itself becomes this unavoidable marketing that you just can't ignore at some point. Because what happens when there's $1 million here? Like, who can ignore a game that's paying out $1 million? Like, that should not be possible, right?
That's true.
And that will almost be like world news unique. There's no game in the world except like top 2 titles like I think Dota and Counter-Strike are paying out money in this size, right? So if we have this little irrelevant game over at a fork of Ethereum that nobody knows about, right, doing these kind of numbers, in my mind, this game here is actually just held back by the fact that nobody knows it exists. It's a marketing problem. It's an eyes problem. Because when I look at the tech and I compare the tech to what has $1 billion market cap, we are dwarfing anyone. You cannot provide me a single on-chain GameFi that is as complex, has as great outlooks as this does, and can provide the numbers that we have in 20 days. So I truly believe that if we continue to be as responsive, as serious about this, and basically just keep pushing, I think this could become PulseChain's #1 chance at presenting something to the world that people will actually care about. Because if you think that anyone outside of PulseChain cares about a meme coin or a DEX, then you are greatly mistaken. Sorry to tell you. We need to show something they can't get anywhere else, and we need to show something that is a booming success. And the only way we can do that is if we all come together and make this a massive success. Let's show it to the world, right? This is what we can do at PulseChain because we have a fantastic community over here.
A non-hopium objective, like way of onboarding narrative. Like that's like something you don't get any other places. We got like one minute left here. I want to get rapid fire. Are you okay if give you 10 seconds to answer some of these questions? I want to get to like 3 questions.
I'll do it as short as I can.
Short. Okay. Question for Jacob. What would be your dream outcome for PulseMafia 1 year from now?
That was I didn't hear a single word you said.
Oh, sorry. What would be your dream outcome for PulseMafia 1 year from now?
Bought by AAA Studio, purchased 98% of the tokens, and I am now a hired position to manage the game by someone else.
Big moon there. Okay. Yep. Okay. Arne, what happens to your Mafia stake Mafia when you die?
Depends if you bridge it into the game, but generally, the way that you should look at risk management is that anything that is a token or a NFT that is inside of your wallet, we cannot touch. Anything you bridge into the game is what we can take from you. So as long as you keep stuff in your wallet that is not deposited to the game, then you have no real risk.
Is there a family limit?
Yes, there is. No, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you meant there's a limit of family members inside the family. There is, based on basically the map update will show that. But I guess you are asking too if there's a limit on how many families there can be, and there is none. No.
Okay. What is the gameplay like? Are you actually playing anything, or it's like Pokemon battles to see who dies and lives?
Yes, Spencer. It's like Hearthstone. right? Where you have this more kind of a strategy game, top bird's eye view kind of thing. But we will have animations and video animations and all sorts of fancy stuff. So don't worry about that. It will look good. It will have audio. It will have visual animations, but it will not be Assassin's Creed or GTA. I want to make that very clear.
Everyone, are you not entertained? Are you not informed? Wow, great conversation. Yeah, sorry we had to rush it a little bit, but I think we covered quite a bit, and a lot of stuff I don't think is covered in previous streams. We get to go a little deep in other areas, and there's also, if anyone wants to watch, I've seen KG stream and Coffee stream with Jacob as well, and they were good. I know there's a few other good streams out there too if you want to get more information. But yeah, where can people find more about you and Mafia?
Yeah, you can go to the Twitter accounts. We have the PLS Mafia IO and we have the BNB Mafia IO, and you can go to the Telegrams as well. They are linked everywhere. I think also on site. Maybe actually not on the site. I should probably get that sorted. But if you have any question at all, we would love to hear from you. And if there's anything you want to know or anything at all, we are always available, and we have a very responsive admin team, and you can come in, have a look around, and see what we are doing. I think we are truly trying our best here to present something new and unique, and we just hope that it is something that the people of PulseChain would take to heart. Because if you do so, guys out there, I think this could become the biggest single onboarding chance we have for PulseChain, honestly.
Huge, as the meme goes. Jacob, again, appreciate your time. Again, great conversation. Hopefully not our last one. Yeah, thanks again for being a builder in this community as well.
Well, thank you as well for being someone who puts light on what we are building, right? Because without guys like you, Max, how would basement coders like me ever get the light of day, right? We need
Locking up 3 to 5 billion PLS.
well, true story, but I think that this in PulseChain and in Hexagon City here, I think what we're doing is we have a great synergy between influencers and people who are doing marketing, who are doing reviews, and basically the work you're doing, and then we have the builders, and I think they are equally important, because the one cannot live without the other, right? So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come here and speak with you today. I really appreciate it, Max.
Of course. That's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.